Well, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for tuning into SAFM and coming to you live this afternoon from the Northwest Province. And we are, of course, at the SABC studios in Mabatu in Mahikeng. And we are set for the very last of our election broadcasts coming to you from the Northwest Province this afternoon. So as you may know by now, 48 political parties have registered and met the legal requirements to contest this year's election. And of those in the Northwest, 29 will be contesting provincial elections here in this province as well as national. So we are here, the scene is set, and we are joined by 6 parties. We had invited more, and I see even today, BLF, they were here yesterday, they're not here today. So we'll continue with the 5 parties that are represented here today. That's the ANC, the DA, EFF, Forum for Service Delivery, and the UCDP. Those are the parties that will be slugging it out, trying to convince you that you should cast your ballot in their favor. And we'll hear what they have to say about a myriad of issues. And key amongst those, of course, things like healthcare services and, of course, many others with regard to service delivery. And in case you missed it, in news just in, the president has, of course, dismissed Lawrence Mkhwebi and Nomgcobo Jiba. So that is the breaking news story at the moment. But with that said, let's get back to the business of elections and the business of debate here in the Northwest Province. And we're going to start, as we always do, as I get my stopwatch ready, by giving each of the 5 parties represented here today a minute to give us their opening statement, and it can be whatever they want to, if they want to set the agenda in terms of the issues that they'd want to tackle, or whether they just want to make an impassioned plea to those here, and of course all of you listening across the country, to actually cast your vote in their favor. They can do so. And remember, this broadcast is being broadcast live in the first hour on SAFM, but 2 hours that will be on SAFM and then moving online. And if you are able to, you can stream this broadcast live as well, sabcnews.com, or you can go to SAFM on the website there and you can follow the proceedings live as well. And unfortunately, not at base, so if you'd like to weigh in on this conversation, you're going to have to tweet me at Sakina Kamwendo, and I'll be able to share those messages with you. So without much further ado, let's get the ball rolling, starting to my left with the ANC. And just give me a second here to just get my stopwatch ready. I'm going to time you out. You have exactly a minute, and then I'll move on to the next party. So for the ANC, give us your name, and then your minute starts.
Thank you very much, Sakina. Thank you very much, Sakina. My name is Mutlalipula Khosho. I'm representing the African National Congress. And let me greet all the members of the ANC as well as members of other parties. As the African National Congress, we are a leader of society. We will continue to lead since the last 107 years in existence. Our celebration tomorrow of the 25 years in democracy, we've achieved a lot. We have changed lives of people. We have created job opportunities. We have built houses. The African National Congress have created safety communities as a leader of society, as a leader of government. In terms of health sector, yes, the national health insurance is to be rolled out, but there is a high level of improvement in terms of access to health. There are community health centers that are being built across the country. There's a lot of opportunities for young people. Yes, in terms of higher education, there are still opportunities. There is opportunities for young people to apply for bursaries so that they are able to access to be accessible to access the job market.
That's your time, ANC. Moving on to the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Sakina. My name is Joe McLewa. I'm the premier candidate for the Democratic Alliance. Firstly, I would like to apologize to the people of this province for the state this province is in. This province is corrupt to the core. It's financially corrupt. It's politically corrupt. I must say that there are people out there that is positive. But I would like to say to the people of the Northwest, don't reward the ANC failure because they have nothing to offer us. They are corrupt to the core and they are only having empty promises. Our message is clear and our message is simple to the people out there. We want to fight corruption. state capture has stolen from the poor in this province. And we want to say that we would like to have an honest and professional police, access to jobs, and we also want to say that we would like to have
That's your
to
time,
secure
Mr.
our borders
McClure.
and speed up service
Moving
delivery.
on to the economic freedom fighters. EFF?
Sakina, my name is Jerry Matebesi. I'm the provincial spokesperson of the EFF in the Northwest Province. As the EFF, we are an anti-capitalist movement. We are an economic emancipation movement. We are calling for all strategic sectors of the economy to be nationalized. We are saying that our people have been poor for many years. We are saying that the ANC in 1994, it has failed to ensure that there is a proper and effective land reform. Their target, as they were taking power, they were saying 30% of the land must come back to the people. But as of 2000, only 7% has been brought back to the people. So as the EFF, we are saying that our people must know that as the EFF, we stand for the expropriation of land without compensation. We are saying nationalization of mines. Our minerals must come back to our people. We are saying our kids must be able to access higher education for free without paying a cent. We are saying that corruption that is eating at the core
That's
of
your
the
time.
society must come to an end.
Matebesi, thanks so much. Moving on to the Forum for Service Delivery.
Thank you, Sakina, and thanks to my fellow political parties. We, as Forum for Service Delivery, we are the only party that exists strictly for service delivery. We don't have time to talk about politics and all those old theories that are not taking us anywhere. So, as Forum for Service Delivery, we are worried about our sideline majorities. We've got level of dropouts. It's very, very high. We don't have a policy in this country on dropouts. School kids, we are having a problem of school kids not being catered. Remember, we are in a country whereby people in jail are getting free uniform, but the school kids are not getting uniform. We are living in a country whereby the quality of education is 30%. We are living in a country whereby our grandparents at the age of 80 to 100 years are given PIN numbers, and they don't know what is a PIN number. So we exist so that we are saying service delivery must go door to door. If we as political parties, we go door to door during campaigns,
Ms.
even
Matebesi,
service
that's
delivery
your
must
time.
go door to door.
Thank you so much. Mr. Kekana, moving on to the United Christian Democratic Party.
Good day, everybody. my name is Mudiri Desmond Sihume. I'm the president of the United Christian Democratic Party. I'm a product of the revival of a party that after 25 years had the courage to now say, time for experimentation is over. We are experimenting with the lives of our children to our peril. It is time that we swallow our pride and go back to what was tried and tested. Institutional development, the development of the black child. We are a product of a people that once led and made a black child proud. We are the custodian of development in South Africa. This same building that you are in is a product of who we are. And we are saying, we can continue to experiment. The manpower centers have collapsed.
All right, that's your time. And let's get into some of the issues that you have raised. And starting with the issue raised by the African National Congress, I want to touch on the question of health. And I've looked through all of your manifestos and what you have to say about the question of health. Perhaps as the ANC, with NHI, which you touched on, what exactly is the state of health to begin with, healthcare provision in the province, before we even talk about where you envisage taking this?
Thank you, Sakina. I must say, Sakina, yes, as the Northwest, the state of health had collapsed. We admit that there has been challenges in terms of the Northwest. And however, as the African National Congress, as a party, there has been decisive action in terms of taking action. There has been consequences that has taken place. As you are aware that the department is now under Section 101B, the whole administration, but the Department of Health is under Section 101B. And in going forward, in terms of bringing up the solution, there is improvement since there's the intervention, where there's an administrator. In terms of intervention, more clinics are now going to be opened, your community health, the health centers. People have access to medication. I must say that even with the intervention with the medical depot, the oversight that has been conducted by the MEC, there has been challenges in terms of expired medication. Action has been taken in respect of that.
Ms. Khosho, all good and well, but we can't just allow you to paper over the cracks. I think it's incumbent upon you to tell us exactly what went wrong, why the Department of Health is under administration, because for that to happen, something must have gone horribly wrong. So what is your explanation to the people of this province and South Africa as a whole as to the wrongdoings and what actually broke down?
The challenges of, in terms of providing services in the health sector, I did explain to you that because as a result of intervention that we are having, the health systems in terms of services that had to be provided to the people, the systems were weak, and they're now being strengthened.
Let's get into it. What exactly was weak? What caused the system to collapse? What exactly caused it to collapse? What were those weak systems?
Remember, there was an advance payment to Midiosa, which was part of the issues that has impacted negatively on the services in the Northwest, in terms of the advance payment that was paid by the department at Midiosa in expediting the services. However, part of the oversight function led by the ANC portfolio committees have outrooted that. And we admit as the African National Congress that was part of a non-compliance in terms of that advance payment.
But
hence,
even
there is
that,
action
even
of
that
making
admission,
sure that we are correcting, we are self-correcting, we are making sure that as the ANC, in terms of administration, there are systems in place that has been threatened. We have been a high level of vacancies that has been there. Now there's a rollout of making sure that vacant posts are advertised and they are funded.
Okay, without belaboring it too much, let me ask you this. So why was the African National Congress not proactive in dealing with the malfeasance, with the underlying corruption that led to things like the Midiosa saga? Because it's not like you woke up as the ANC and said something had gone wrong here. It was the media who highlighted this with the help of whistleblowers to say this is not correct, and that's when you acted upon it. Why were you not proactive?
Let me just share with you. It's not about the media. Portfolio Committee of the African National Congress in the legislature are the ones who also started to uproot that. The challenges of the department in terms of human capital, in terms of your workers, they've also raised that issues. And I can share with you that there is stability in the department.
When did they raise those issues?
Portfolio Committee has raised it in the portfolio committees where sessions were held, Sakina. In terms of media coverage, you must know that portfolio committees, as and when they engage, public is allowed, media is allowed. Media was able to cover that as well. So issues were raised sharply within the portfolio committees, led by the chairperson of the ANC.
At what point? When? I asked you when. When? Because I guess the point I'm getting at here, and this speaks to everybody who is part of the legislature, is that you knew that these things were happening, and yet it took you quite a long time to actually come to the point where you were going to deal with this decisively. But as I say, I don't want to necessarily belabor it because I want to hear from everybody else as well. But as things stand at the moment, with everything that has gone wrong, with a portfolio of health that is currently under administration, how are you going to roll out NHI or the provisions thereof in this province?
NHI will still be rolled out, Sakina. I must tell you, I must assure you, and I must assure people of Northwest that the National Health Insurance will be rolled out. In terms of rolling out the National Health Insurance, the filling of vacancies which have been which have not been filled are now going to be filled. 9,200 posts will be advertised. Already other posts has already been advertised. I must indicate that part of the critical positions that are supposed to be filled is your general workers, which we have actually underscored as in the Department of Health. And in terms of the mind map, in filling up of those posts, we'll be targeting localized people to be able to apply.
What about
in terms
infrastructure?
of professional infrastructure? Of course, there is investment. There is investment in terms of that. I can share with you that with your community health centers that are being opened by the MEC now lately, tells you that we are ready as government to make sure that we fast track health services to the people.
All right.
That is part of rolling out of national health insurance. Issues of recruitment of doctors. Issues of recruitment of doctors as well is part of the priorities that it's going to be on where people have to be given opportunities to apply. So I can share with you there is stability in the health sector. That's the first point. There is stability in the Department of Health. Yes, there are challenges, but the challenges are being attended by the department. In terms of since the administrator has been there has been suspension of some of the officials who actually there's consequence management in terms of decisive leadership as the African National Congress. We appreciate that.
All right, I want to move on to the BLF who have belatedly joined us. BLF, looking at your manifesto, looking at the manifesto of the BLF. So on to Black First, Land First, and you have stated in your manifesto that one of the first things you will be tackling will be looking at the issue of public utilities. And you say starting with hospitals, that's top of your list. And one of the things you say is that you believe that the politicians and their families should actually make use, they should be forced to make use of public facilities.
Yes, that's true, because if you look at the way things are standing right now, mostly the politicians will use the private hospitals because they are rich. So they cannot maybe like go to the those public hospital and maybe like renovate them, make sure that everything that is needed is there. You'd find that maybe in some hospitals, patients will be sent home just because there are no beds there. Why there are no beds, but instead there at the government sector, there is money to buy those things, or maybe medication. Like, for an example, last year there was this ARV problems. The people who are like who are in charge of this government of ours, they don't care about the people down there on the ground. They only care about themselves. That's why we want to send them to the hospital so that they can at least experience what the people on the ground are experiencing. You understand me?
I understand you, but surely people have the right to go to whichever healthcare facility they, number one, choose, or number two, they can afford. So how are you going to compel the politicians to do what you are proposing?
That one is not maybe much of a compulsory. We are looking at many things as we speak right now, like the land, the hospitals, the minerals, and everything that is ours, which is maybe like been taken by the people who are from outside, which are the London people. We're talking minerals here, the land. That's the main focus of the BLF, as we speak.
So how are these minerals going to help us improve the provision of healthcare to the people of the Northwest Province? Okay,
right there. Like if you look at the Anglo Americans are taking all the minerals that are here, gone to the England and the Washington. That money could be used to help the free education, the health system, the transport for the kids who would be going to school. You understand me? And they could be creating a job. They could be creating jobs for people who are unemployed, because, like, if you look at it right now, like just in Rustenburg, for the platinum that is found there, it could create about 7,000 jobs if it's not maybe taken outside the country. You understand? If maybe like there could be, let me say, a factory that could be used to break down the platinum itself and make those chains, those material things that are maybe mostly manufactured outside.
Okay.
Around 7,000 jobs could be created. Instead, 7,000 jobs are created in London instead of being here. So I'm jealous about my country, because if you're not jealous about your country, then the other countries will be wealthy as they are right now. In Switzerland, there is no platinum, but it's a platinum land, but it's not found there.
Okay.
Because all our things are taken to those countries, so I'm jealous about my country.
I hear you, BLF. Moving on to the Democratic Alliance with regard to the healthcare service provision in the Northwest Province. What is your take as a party that is also represented within the Northwest government?
Well, firstly, to start off, I think the listeners out there must be told what it means if a department is under Section 101B. That means that is national government intervention. And you go to the health facilities, Midiosa. Midiosa has started a contract with the Department of Health being paid out a lousy 30 million rand without moving a finger. The manager went overseas with an approval trip by the former Supramama Pella, who was the premier of this province. He has approved that. The Guptas is actually managing here. They are benefiting here. And the MEC actually deal with issues as far as intervention. And that intervention did not help. That intervention, this province did not gain of any intervention. You have to go to Morokweng. There are people being transported with Buthelezi from Morokweng to Ghanesa for 30,000 rand. You go to speak to Ventersdorp. The people in Ventersdorp, they are transporting with a contract of Buthelezi to JB Marks, which is the former Potchefstroom, for 30,000 rand. 40 kilometers. 40 kilometers. People are being pushed to hospitals with wheelbarrows. I think that is a disgrace. And we say, actually, criminal charges must be made against all these useless individuals.
So tell me, because you sit there as part of government, the part of the government that runs this particular province. And how is it then? What is it about the systems that would allow that sort of thing to happen? Because otherwise, I'm going to have to conclude that this is happening with the tacit approval of everybody who sits on that government.
Well, Sakina, I must say that I sat on the portfolio committee where we actually have in the Hawks to open a case. There are no consequence management when there are cases open against this government. And that we're saying as a DA government, we will rectify that. We will rectify that. You go to Popilong, access control. People they can't go to Popilong to have a look at their family and friends. There's no wire at Popilong. We are saying when you look at vacancies, there's a lack of vacancies within the provinces. They are not being filled because of corruption, and the ANC must take blame of this. You go to the hospital, Sakina, you cannot get any track record. My sister went to a hospital, she could not get any track record. We say, where we govern in the Western Cape, we will digitize each and every single patient so that patients are correctly diagnosed, so that patients are correctly looked after. There is no confidence in the Northwest from the patient fraternity towards the hospital.
Okay, let me ask this question. So, and again, as I say, I asked the ANC about their accountability with regard to what is going on here. You are part of the government here because you are represented in the legislature, as is the EFF and others. So you are saying that there's no consequence management. You are not getting any sort of relief from the criminal justice system. So what needs to happen then? Because by virtue of staying there, I'm thinking that you have to accept and carry some of the blame for what is going on. Everybody who's in government has to carry some of the blame. And I guess where I'm going with this, and some would say perhaps a little harshly so, is that why don't you step out of that government where nothing is happening so as to highlight the point that things are going wrong?
Sakina, we need a change. The people must make a change on 8 May. We are not in government in the Northwest. We're not in charge of this government.
Government comprises all parties that are represented in the structures of government.
I agree, but when we reported cases, When you go to the Hawks, when you go to the public protector, when you go to police to open cases, dollar, nothing at all. We are saying if this is a DA government, we will do things differently and we will make sure that the people of the Northwest are well looked after.
Let me hear from EFF. What's your take on what's happening here?
Well, Sakina, as the EFF, we have analyzed the state of health in the Northwest Province, and we came to the conclusion that, one, the first factor is that it has collapsed because of corruption. Two, it has collapsed because of maladministration. Let us start with the first factor, which is corruption. The Honorable MEC here, representing the ruling party, he says that there is consequence management when it comes to issues of corruption in the health sector. But the question that can be asked is one, who has been taken into the process of accountability since the Mediosa corruption scandal in the province? None. Zero. No one. So she can't come here and lie to us that there is consequence management. That is one. Two, when you look at all provincial hospitals in the province, whether it's Job Shimankani in Rustenburg or Bophelong here in Mahikeng, you would actually be shocked to find the state of affairs there. There is no proper filing. That is one. Two, you've got walls that are literally falling on patients. You've got a situation whereby the ratio of beds vis-a-vis patients is quite imbalanced. So there's absolutely nothing positive that we can say about the state of health in the province. If you can just go randomly into any clinic here in the locality of Mahikeng, and you go there and request medication for any other disease like diabetes, you'll be told that there is no medication, there is nothing that you can do. Instead, they will refer you to Bophelong. When you arrive in Bophelong, the queue is very long. Casualty is mixed with people who are actually just there for minor appointments like diabetes and so on and so forth. So it can't be. The MEC is not being honest. It's economically with the truth.
Okay. So what have you done? Because all of these situations that you are highlighting are quite dire. And of course, these speak to the infringement on people's human rights. What have you done about it?
Sakina, we have played our role as an oversight, or rather a party that participate in the oversight sphere of government, which is the legislature.
How?
We, amongst other things, we went into the portfolio committee. We were one of the parties that said, that blew the whistle on this thing of Mediosa, up until the national minister came to the province and dubbed the Mediosa an ATM, which simply means that it was a scheme, a grand scheme that was created for corrupt politicians within the ruling party to make money. It was more of a javelin syndrome, where you find that a politician takes a tender, she puts it to that other side, and he called that side to receive a share of that particular money. So we have, as the EFF, because we are the official opposition in that particular legislature, we have been playing our role, and we continue to play our role. As we speak now, as the EFF, we had a campaign which was focusing on primary health care. We were able to do what we can call the most intensive research ever of ensuring that we go into the clinics on daily basis, we go into the hospitals on daily basis, we meet the management, and we try to understand the challenges that are facing them. But as we speak here in the Northwest, it's a crisis. It's a crisis of big proportions, and the only way for us to be able to deal with this issue is for people to be conscious on the 8th of May when they vote, because we have given the ANC number of chances. We have given number of chances for them to be able to self-correct.
So where can I access that research that you've done? Because I'd like to know what is it going to inform you on? What are you going to do differently?
The research that we talk about is the one where, for an example, you go and you interact with a person one-on-one. You don't rely on reports. You don't rely on some sort of a desktop research. I think that is the most effective means of understanding a situation. That is why As we speak, we are able to tell you about the situation in Job Shimankani. We are able to tell you about the situation in Buphelong. We are able to tell you about the situation in many clinics around the province. That is the type of research that we have done, not the one of being there in front of a computer and just thumb-sucking on what is happening on the ground.
But it's equally important to document the research that you are conducting. But you haven't told me what you're going to do. I was reading what your manifesto talks about with regard to national infrastructure, but let me move on to Forum for Service Delivery. You talk about universal healthcare system with one clinic, one ambulance in every voting station. In every voting station. How many voting stations are there across the Northwest Province?
Come again?
How many voting stations are there across the Northwest Province?
I think they're plus minus 500. I'm not sure.
So you want an ambulance in every one of those that you think is about 500, and what other services would you want?
Okay, we as Forum for Service Delivery, let me start by, I was visiting Maboloka about 2 weeks back, and I want to appeal to MEC because of people of Maboloka saying their clinic closes at 4 o'clock Friday. It opens on Monday, 8 o'clock. So I'm appealing to MEC after this gathering to go and fix that issue of Maboloka so that they can, during the weekend, there's nowhere that they can go. Okay. We as Forum for Service Delivery, we are saying before there were some mobile clinics that were moving around so that old people can access service. So those mobile clinics, they are no longer there. So as Forum for Service Delivery, we want to reintroduce them so that at least every day in the morning, they must go to a particular place and people be able to access that mobile clinic. Secondly, our old people in Northwest, they are sleeping on the floor almost every day at all the clinics. And it's a problem. We as Forum for Service Delivery, we are saying people from 80 to 100 years, they must be treated with dignity because those are our elders. So we are saying as Forum for Service Delivery, we will bring them their medication at their house, especially those with chronic disease. Because we are for service delivery, not politics. We are in a situation whereby an MEC who is a doctor by profession, is replaced by a non-medical person. So it's a problem there.
Okay. Let me just problematize this situation for you. Because it's easy to speak when you are not actually in government. So all of these things that you are saying, they make perfect sense. And I'm sure every person in the Northwest will concur with you that what you are saying sounds wonderful. But how are you actually going to do it? Given that you will, let's say you win the election on the 8th of May.
Yes.
You are inheriting a situation whereby you have a Department of Health that is under administration and with all its attendant problems. How are you going to do that?
Let me announce that the budget is enough because of a lot of money being spent on corruption.
What's the budget?
The budget, the health department, it gets it's the second after education. It gets the highest budget. So, as Forum for Service Delivery, like if, for example, there was 30 million that was spent on Midiosa. So that money, it's enough. It's enough to roll out that service. And again, we are saying, remember, every ward, there's something that I must bring up to you. Every ward, 80 to 100 people, people who are aged 80 to 100, they are not so much. In a ward, you'll get them, they are 50 or they are 100. They are not so much. Because of those are the people who suffer the most in terms of chronic diseases. So it's easy because the budget is there. And as Forum for Service Delivery, we will make sure that corruption, it's something of the old. All the money goes to the people for service delivery.
It sounds great, but I can tell you that 30 million is not going to go a long way in terms of the sort of things that you are talking about and actually bringing those to fruition. You're not going to do it.
I'm just giving an example. Remember, there's also additional budget. There's a lot of money in our country. If you can remember, we are spending close to so many millions on corruption. So if we can make sure that service is taken to the people and those who are corrupt are arrested, we're going to have enough money as a country.
Okay, let me come to the UCDP. Now, UCDP, I must point out that I'm looking at your 2014 manifesto because I couldn't find a later one. And yesterday I was promised one, but I haven't received it yet. So I'm looking at your 2014 manifesto. So are you promising still the same thing since 2014?
Well, the principles are basically the same. The figures would change and the priorities would change definitely. But yes, there is similarity between the two, and I'm sure you'll get the latest one. I was not aware. Your Tracy did not inform me personally.
No, we asked for it yesterday.
Okay.
There was a meeting here yesterday, and we were told we'd get it. We haven't got it. So I'm
Okay,
going
that's
on
fine.
your 2014
That's fine.
manifesto. Okay, with regard to health as a fundamental right, as you correctly put it. So what are you going to do about the current situation that you need to pick up from?
Thank you, Karin. If I may add, if I may just comment, when we were asking the ANC what went wrong, I thought you'd say, what did you damage that the UCDP had put in place? It was not only when something going wrong, but let's start here. Let's begin with nursing colleges. Nursing colleges are basically a feeding mechanism into the health industry. At any given time, around 1989, almost 40% of every hospital had a trainee nurse. Now you have a systemic influx of nurses, and the quality was such that they were in demand the whole world. So that has been taken away from our youth. But the second part of the problems with health system is that depoliticize the public service. That's where the problem is. As a result, public servants have a vested interest in issues that should not be concerning them. So those are the two things that when we honored the ruling party with this province, what they did, they messed up. But the third thing that I also want...
Just give us a practical example of depoliticizing
Thank you.
the service.
All right. If you have a situation of a director who is an accounting officer, a supply chain officer who is his junior, has to approve 3 quotations. If that director, because he comes from a branch where he's the branch chairperson, must ensure that the bus that is going to bus us here is paid, that is what we have. So I can put it on record that if we can do a skills audit in the provincial government, you would be amazed. And that's where in lies the problem. So that's what we are talking about, depoliticizing it. It used to be depoliticized. In fact, we would go in as far as saying the term of contract of public servants must not be aligned with the term of office of the politicians. That way we would have a DDG who gets in this year, and then in mid-term, his term expires. So you don't have a situation where politicians, as it is happening now, are ensuring that the correct public service accounting officers does the thing. But I wanted to go to the issue of, the third issue that talks to nursing, to the health system. At the core of it is preventive health care system, primary preventive. If you, because you want to be populist, you say children must no longer play soccer. I'm making a practical example. You are reducing the quality of the health of that child. As a result, he or she becomes prone to go to the hospital. And as a result, the number of incomings into hospitals and clinics increases. So what we also need to do is to ensure that we impose, not negotiate, you impose discipline in society. You inculcate a culture of discipline. When you do that...
How?
Yes,
How
thank you.
without trampling on people's rights?
To inculcate a culture. This is what you do. This is basically what you do. When you are at school, today you go to any school, you'll find that they have built netball courts, tennis courts, but you never see past 10 o'clock there, you will never see children playing. But once, what you need to do, and they used to play, what you need, reward, give incentives for the children to love to play sports. As a result, they will play.
All right.
Kids naturally play.
I want to pick up on something here in your manifesto. You talk about free medication to all. Who is all? Is that all, every South African?
Basically what we are saying, at the entry point of hospitals. Hospitals are not meant to. Today, if you go to hospitals, What the first thing that they would ask you, they would say, are you working? If you are working, they're going to give you a bill, even if it's a public hospital. So basically that's what we're saying. We're not only saying that, we say it used to happen. People used to go to hospitals, get in, get medication, and leave. It was not an issue. It used to happen. There's empirical evidence to that effect. And that's all we are saying.
So how big do you think the damage is, as you had stated in your
Correct.
opening statement there? How much damage has been done over the past 24 years that you, if you were elected to be the ruling party in government, would have to reverse?
Thank you for that question. You see, let me tell you how big it is. In 1994, the first thing that the ANC or the ruling party did, health is I don't know how to use it. In my language, I would say, bafitelete. They started by systemically killing things that were there. Because what I anticipate is that they felt that all these infrastructures that were there, all the investments that were there for the black people, in my view, there was a systemic intention to kill them. That is why you no longer have manpowers, you no longer have training colleges, you never, but let me finish this. What we see is but little. What was stolen is, for example, people are complaining about VBS. What people don't know about VBS is that when VBS was started in 1983, BBS, at the end of that year, had netted more than 50 million in profit. BBS was not closed because of corruption. It was systemically closed down by a political elite, afraid that the Northwest populace will ultimately become at the top of the food chain. That was the problem.
All right. I want to move from the healthcare issues because I'm sure there's still a lot to discuss, but I want to move on to other issues as well. And I want to talk about corruption that the DA mentioned about fighting corruption. So seemingly, when people talk, they talk about systemic and deep-rooted corruption in this province. So what's your solution, DA?
Well, firstly, if we are going to get into government, we will fire all those found with their hands in the tills of the community. That is the first thing that we will do as a party. If you take the province, the provincial government of the Northwest has placed numerous municipalities under administration. That is the first thing. Second to that is, the national government has placed the provincial government under administration. Who are to be blamed here? It's the ANC. This province has been or are being run by an interim ministerial committee. This province are being run by a so-called PEC who claim they are the legitimate PEC of this province. This province are being run by an interim PEC appointed by the interim ministerial task team. This province is on its knees. We will deal with those found with their hands in the tills. At least we are saying they must go to jail for 15 years.
So
they must get...
Here's the problem. In your previous statement, you said that the criminal justice system is not cooperating in making sure that those who have at least been fingered are being brought to book. So how are you going to change that?
Precisely. We must, we as a party has involved with the commission of this province. I went and I opened a docket, I opened a case, and I've been stopped by the provincial commissioner. I went to open a case on the possible involvement of the previous premier on the VBS, where this province has lost almost 319 million. 300 million. To date, there is no appetite from the police. And that's why we are also saying we want to address that we have professional and trained police who are not working with these thugs who are in government. That is how we will deal with these issues. We will get rid of everything. Because you see, the problem is that there's a chain of events. the chain of events. What happened at National Treasury happened in the Free State. What happened in the Free State happened as a duplicate in the Northwest Province when it comes to state capture. The Premier's office is under Section 101B. The Premier himself, Job Mukoro, was involved in the NEPO data dynamics. He was involved, he's implicated. He's implicated in the animal deals. He is trying to duck and dive. We are saying we will address these issues. So along with the politicians, police are also involved here, Sakina.
ANC?
No, thank you very much, Sakina. Sakina, I must tell you that as the African National Congress, corruption, we acknowledge that there is rampant corruption, and in terms of that, there is action that is being taken.
Do you dispute anything of what Mr. Maglua of the DA has just said?
I need to indicate that in terms of the investigations that are taking place in terms of your NEPO data dynamics, executive managers and senior managers have been suspended. There are 49 cases of corruption cases that have been opened that are still under investigation. They are with the Hawks. I must indicate, even with the Buthelezi saga, I must tell you that the African National Congress, we are the ones who opened the case. We are the ones who invited the Hawks at the legislature building to open cases. On issues. On the NEPO, I want to go back to the NEPO data. I want to go back to the NEPO data dynamics. I must tell you, as much as the DA wants to claim victory, tell no lies and claim no easy victories. Because as the African National Congress, in the Portfolio Committee of Culture and Traditional Affairs, that is where we discovered the NEPO data dynamics saga during that portfolio. And it was only members of the ANC who are sitting in.
But you don't dispute any of the things that he said.
I'm saying that there are investigations.
So you're not disputing.
There are investigations that are taking place in terms of NEPO data dynamics. In terms, we cannot accuse people while there's still investigation. We must wait for the findings of the investigation. I can tell you that as we speak in the Premier's office, there has been senior managers who are on suspension. There are disciplinary processes that are unfolding. And on that score, I would not say that what the DA would want to say in accusing even the sitting Premier of the province that he is responsible. There are senior
managers
who have been
implicated though?
He has not been implicated.
So Mr. Maglua is lying. He's lying to us.
Senior managers are on suspension. If someone is implicated, surely that person would have been by this time been recalled. So you must know that in terms of the NEPO data dynamics, we have senior managers who are going through disciplinary processes. Even with the Buthelezi saga, I must also indicate that the HOD of the Health Department, he's going through disciplinary procedures. Why we would not dispute that as the African National Congress, that there has been issues of corrupt elements of mismanagement, but there's decisive leadership, there's decisive action. In terms of our manifesto, as much as the political parties, the opposition parties, I must say, are raising issues of corruption, they have learned from the process of the African National Congress in the last 25 years. We are the first party to come out rightly and accept that there are challenges of mismanagement, there are challenges of corruption. Therefore, in terms of our manifesto, it's part of our priorities. Because we want to grow the economy, we want to work together, we want to make sure that we build society as a leader of society. We must grow the economy together.
Mutlalipula, the of the ANC, and this is how we come to the end of our broadcast on SAFM. But of course, we continue to stream. So if you want to continue listening, you can actually live stream on SABC online, or you can go to safm.co.za. But for our listeners on SAFM, it's back to Stephen Kirker, who will be bringing you the news after this. But we continue, of course, here streaming this debate online. So we've heard from the DA, and Mr. Joe Maglua, you're looking at me. What Ms. Kosho has essentially said is that you are lying about the implication of the Premier of the province in this particular deal. So I'll give you a chance to respond, and then I want to hear from the other parties with regard to corruption.
Yeah, thank you, Sakina. I categorically wanted to state it again. The sitting Premier of the Northwest Province, Job Bukhoro, was part and parcel of the directorate when it comes to the data dynamics, NEPO dynamics. He was involved. There is no doubt about that. He is now the premier of the province. He is dragging his feet on what is happening where animals has been taken to politically connected individuals. He is dragging with that report. And I think, while every time, and I appreciate the fact while you're asking, what are you doing? We have to get a court order to enable him to have an investigation and a report on what is transpired. So the current sitting premier is just a different bus driver in a stucking bus without wheels. That is the long and the
Okay,
short of it.
I want to hear from the other parties, and in the meantime, members from the floor, if you can get ready, we'll take questions. We'll have 2 mics. We'll come from either side, and we'll take a question from each of the various parties represented. But I just want to run through the panel very quickly and round up this issue on the question of corruption within the Northwest Province. And BLF, Jiggy, you just changed members here. You don't inform us, but we'll come to that all the same. Let's go to the EFF about corruption, please.
Well, Sakina, the question of corruption in the Northwest Province, it is directly linked with what is called the use of consultants in the public service, the issuing of tenders in the public service. I'll make an example. At the Department of Public Works, there was a company by the name of Ayamaha Consulting Engineers, which got a tender of more than 100 million without that tender having gone through the supply chain management processes. That is one. 2, in the department, the controversial Department of Health, you had a company that is Gupta linked, by the way, getting a tender. In actual fact, they got the tender that also did not go through the SCM processes, but this tender also it was issued. They were given an upfront payment, these Gupta-linked people. And all of these things, they happened because of the use of private contracts. At the Department of Office of the Premier, you have the so-called NEPO Data Dynamics. It's also a private company. It was given more than 200 million. It was given more than 200 million, also paid upfront, before they even render any services. There is one controversial MEC of former agriculture. This MEC took wild animals that are supposed to be benefiting our biodiversity. They came up with his own political people. They decided that, you know what, one of the things of ensuring that we empower ourselves beyond our own term of office is to ensure that we take these animals, we give them to our people who are politically connected, so that at the later stage, once we are no longer in office, we are able to benefit out of that transaction. That transaction, by the way, was over 100 million in value. Now, as the EFF, we are saying, take out private contracts, remove them, because there's a link between a private contract and the person who's issuing it with corruption. So you will never be able to...
So abolish the tender system is what you're saying. All right. Forum for Service Delivery, what's your issue, and also how would you resolve the problem with regard to corruption?
Thank you. Corruption is caused, especially in the province, lack of accountability. People are not accountable in the province, simply because of the laws of the country allows them not to be accountable. There's an office that we don't like as Forum for Service Delivery called Auditor General. That office, after the findings of wasteful expenditure and all that, tomorrow it's business as usual. There's no one arrested and all that. So we as Forum for Service Delivery, we are saying the Office of Auditor General must be combined with the Office of Public Protector so that it has, or it's given more teeth to bite. Because we cannot have an office that is toothless. And the very same office is also spending our money on service delivery. And also we are saying,
What do you mean by that?
come again?
What do you mean by that when you say the office is spending our money?
Okay, let me say straight. Auditor General Office is useless. It's a useless office. That money that we are spending in that office, we can take it to service delivery. Because we cannot have an office that doesn't litigate.
But
we need to have an office that has power to litigate those who are corrupt.
I think what you were saying previously was actually perhaps a better sentiment that you were expressing when you were saying that it needs to be capacitated further, perhaps. But to say it's useless, if the Auditor General is not going to audit all of these government entities, who's going to audit them? How will you know what's happening with the accounts?
Okay, this is what we are saying. Public Protector's office this office must be collapsed into Public Protector's office, so that it's public Protector's
But they are
office.
very different functions.
No, it's not different.
What do you mean it's not
Let me
different?
tell you, you can have Public Protector's office with two wings, the one for auditing and the one for corruption. It's possible, it can be done, and it's like in Brazil they're doing that. And at the same time, they've got small offices of litigating. If maybe a certain manager, there is a misusing of money, the manager must come and account. Because we cannot afford managers that are not accounting. And again, something that contributes to corruption is a lack of qualified municipal managers at municipalities. Majority, in terms of the findings in terms of the findings of COGTA, Northwest municipal managers don't have qualifications. So if the head is not qualified, meaning corruption we're going to give us a problem. But as for service delivery, our long-term plan is to introduce subjects such as civics and at a lower level, so that our kids grow loving their country. We need to have subjects that talks about patriotism, so that our kids love growing this country. It's a long-term plan.
Okay.
Because if we are having people who are saying, I'm a member of this party, then nothing will happen. It's gonna be a problem. And again, one of the things that cause corruption is our electoral system. We are having an electoral system where people are voting for the party, and the party will protect the culprit. So we are saying the community must give in a space to vote their leaders direct. And if the leaders are not misbehaving, they are able to remove them.
But
Because
isn't,
of now,
isn't that happening at the local government level? How are you holding people accountable at local government level?
the system that we are having at local government, let's say we are having a councillor or a premier, we saw it last time, and the president who's not delivering, you are at the mercy of that party. The party must decide. And if the person is in a strong faction, you'll never do anything.
Okay.
So we are saying like other countries.
All right, let me go to UCDP.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, Karina.
Sakina.
Sakina, sorry.
But carry on.
No, it's your new name. That one. I have to agree with Forum here that consequence management is a very important tool in combating crime and corruption. That's the first thing. The second thing, but I'll also go to the issue of Northwest. What is the problem in the North? Why the Northwest is a victim of such corruption of grandeur? One, there are political authorities or political interests. Yeah, you have political interest outside this province who are basically milking the province. And that is caused by, let me tell you what caused it at a political level. You must remember that the ANC prior to 1994, in the Northwest, it was relatively not a politically active province. As soon as 1995 came, a lot of new emerging political heroes or political liberators emerged inside the ANC. So you don't have a standard hierarchy like you'd have in the Eastern Cape. As a result, the people that are said to have political authority in the province actually are products of a manhandled outside the province. Dr. Mokoro, if I may say, does not have political power here. He consults on the most basic of the things that he has to do. That is why, if you go, Karina, you want facts. If you go to the last audit committee of parliament, where his first last year in around July, the committee, parliamentary committee, asked him, and he said he was not aware of the root causes. When in effect, of the almost 46 billion that was given to the province, more than 20 billion was seen in the rate. So it is because you have politically correct people. A lot of money that is coming into the province immediately leaves. But the last point on the issue of corruption that I want to raise. You see, you must remember that we need to have a belief system as a society. We need to have a value system. We need to have sanctions outside the criminal justice system that will punish a person that commits crime. And it used to happen. If we follow that route, we will almost halve the level of corruption in the province.
Okay. And BLF, your take on corruption, and then it's over to the floor.
Firstly, I would like to apologize, Sakina, for the confusion you see earlier on. I mean, I was confused about the venue, whether it was a confusion there, but on our side. Okay, firstly, before I can start, and is the hands off Supra Mahumapelo. He is being targeted because it's an RET force, and then another thing is this. I got problem with the white racist organization talking about corruption while the land is still in their hands. And corruption must not be selective. We must hold white corruption accountable as much as black corruption accountable. Now there is this thing, systematic white stealing of chunk of money. But all the parties here, they don't touch on it because they are in the hands and pockets of white monopoly capital. They are funding them. So now they won't touch it. So, yes, the issue of corruption, everyone must account. You see now, the BLF is the best solution ever in corruption. Was saying from the president to the councillor down there, they must all be subjected to the hospitals. They must all use public hospitals, schools, all of them. So therefore, they will be now responsible they will make sure that all these avenues, they work, they function well, because now they don't care. They loot money there in the public sector, and then they go private. So now we're saying you must be subjected. If you do mess there, you must know that you are going to be subjected to that mess. We got a clear, practical solution to corruption, not this thing of public stunt, popular stunt for you want to entice voters to vote for you.
Let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Let's start here. So you say hands off Supra Mahumapelo.
Indeed.
Every other panelist has lamented the levels of corruption in this province that have taken place in the main under his tenure. The ANC, which is the party that Supra Mahumapelo comes from, is still a part of, they acknowledge that corruption has taken place. So what do you mean when you say hands off Supra Mahumapelo?
Okay, I mean, I understand that there must be some of the issues. I mean, Supra, in fact, now I don't know, they went to court, the ANC, and then they lost the bid, right? If there is any evidence against Supra Mahumapelo, it must be tested through the courts. Because now politicians, they're like, Supra is corrupt, but as about the Guptas, there was this big case of Mwatwa there, but when it go to the court to be tested there, they threw it away. So now the same thing must happen. Supra, if there is evidence about Supra, bring it to court, all the cases, all those things. So you must not just say Supra is corrupt while you don't have any evidence. So hands off Supra Mahumapelo. Hands off Supra Mahumapelo. Sellouts. You are sellouts. Yes, Chief, we're still waiting for the land. We're still waiting for the land. When is our land coming back?
And just by the way, you speak on behalf of Black First, Land First, but you are here to protect Supra Mahumapelo, and you are saying that the ANC, who is of course, the home, the party that Supra Mahumapelo belongs to, you are saying the ANC was wrong for removing him.
No, I'm not here to protect Supra. We protect.
sounds like
no, look, we protect everyone who's under attack by white people.
Okay.
We
So the
protect-
ANC are part of that.
No,
They're under white people.
The ANC, they are captured. They are captured by white monopoly capital. I can say that. Ramaphosa is a capitalist. You see, now what I'm saying is this. We protect everyone who's under attack. We protected Supra Mahumapelo. We protect Comrade Zuma. We protected Malema. Comrade Malema was under attack by white people. We protected Kushiri. Everyone who we protect every black person who's under attack by white people.
Okay.
We
All
are
right.
here.
All right. As someone hands the BLF Mr. Ngwenya an ANC T-shirt, I suggest
It's
at least
I want the man.
speaking on behalf of the ANC is the suggestion there.
No,
All right.
I want.
I tell you what.
I will like if there was Comrade Zuma, you must bring me something of Comrade Zuma. and
Okay.
take it.
I
Not
tell
this
you
one.
what. I tell you what.
Yeah.
We're going to take some questions from the floor now. From the floor. Okay. So we have 2 roving mics. And we're going to come to the members on the floor now. We're going to take your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take questions from the floor now. Let me just ask you, please, you can only ask one question only, short and sharp, and to the panelists as well. When the question is posed to you, I need you to respond to that question, preferably in about a minute, and be done. So please, short, sharp from both ends, your name and the question. Where's the first mic? There you go.
My name is Willie Bomer. I'd like to ask the DA a question. You have to be absolutely blind to see that there's a backlog in housing in this province. Ngicela ukubuza iDA ukuthi uyoyicorrecta kanjani le ndaba.
Thank you. Mr. Maglua, let's do those answers as the questions come so we don't have a situation where questions go unanswered.
Thank you. I agree that there is a backlog. And again, everything that has happened here is with corruption. There is a backlog because of corruption. Just here at the legislature, we have MECs, we have members of the legislature, we have speakers and deputy speakers. Some of their families, their wives, have contracts that build houses. But in pass by, Sakina, I just want to say, listening to my friend of the BLF here, I'm actually so glad that they have now legalized marijuana. So I'm very happy. So
now you suggest that I'm taking
in
my
the
drive.
Western Cape,
I mean,
in the Western Cape, we have given out over 100,000 of title deeds. Title deeds. Last night I listened to Tasnim Mutana of Mutara. The ANC is giving every Friday. They are giving now out title deeds. And I hope we have to discuss the land issue here. We must discuss it. We mustn't pass this debate when we don't discuss the land issue.
Okay, but the question was, how are you going to deal with the issue of the housing backlog in the Northwest Province?
Well, we will ensure to deliver a house to each and every individual. We will make sure we will make a budget available, 150,000. You will have an opportunity to say, I'm going to take this, and someone is going to take me by the hand to build that house, and someone will take me by the hand to say, well, I would rather want to rent that house. We will make sure that there's a housing list.
150,000, where's that in your manifesto, or are you making this up as you go along?
No, it is.
Where is it?
It is. It is in our manifesto. So
I'll be glad if you point me to it, please. But in the meantime,
page 2, they say, page 2.
Page 2. In the meantime, continue. How are you going to deal? Because what is the level of this backlog?
Well, we are talking of units here. We are talking about approximately 240,000 units. That is a backlog here in the Northwest Province. And the problem is, With what has transpired with corruption to date, it will be, and I must admit, doesn't matter who's going to take over, it will be a difficult task to deal with the backlog. But the only way to deal with that backlog is to deal with the housing list, is to deal with rather 150,000 where we can give individuals to say, this is for you, decide where, how you would want to build your house. The biggest problem in this province is housing. I've been on a listening tour. Housing actually stands out. But if they are giving houses, I was here, a day before yesterday, I was in Alabama, where I come from, when I reside. There are allegations, it's family, it's friends, and even if young women with children have been promising a house, they must also in chains, therefore, they must have sex with counselors. That is what is happening out there in our communities.
Okay. I said I needed these answers to be short and sharp, but that's part of the answer there to this question. Let's get to a question here from UCDP. Can we have another mic? It's Forum for Service Delivery.
Thank you very much. The question goes to the President of the Forum for Service Delivery, Mr. Mbaharika, or let me rephrase, Dr. Mahudu Mbaharika. Leader Kekana, when the Forum for Service Delivery takes over after the 8th, there's a lot of challenges in the Northwest, particularly in the whole of South Africa, in terms of school dropouts, in terms of youth unemployment, in terms of lack of skills in our youth, the elders who are not being taken care of, lack of service delivery. What is the first point of call that the Forum for Service Delivery is going to deliver in terms of service delivery and in terms of taking care of its people?
Thank you. Dr. Kekana?
Okay, thank you. We as Forum for Service Delivery, when we, on the 9 in the morning, when we take over the province, we'll make sure that education is compulsory. All the kids on the street, we will forcefully take them to school. We as Forum for Service, that's the first point. And again, we will open all the colleges that are closed as Forum for Service Delivery. And we will also ensure that the building of university in Bojana, because Bojana is one of the district with majority of the people, but there's no university there. We'll ensure that the construction of university starts immediately. And again, as Forum for Service Delivery, we'll make sure that on the issue of skills, the kids that, our kids that cannot go to university, they are well taken care of in terms of their ability to proceed. And again,
what does that mean?
Okay, there's two streams. There's a university stream, there's technical stream. And at the current moment, the issue of we are lacking artisans, the plumbers and all that. And the issue of the plumbers and the artisans, it's something that is underscored at the current moment. All the kids want to go to university. And those who are not actually able to follow the university streams are left out.
Okay.
So we'll make sure that they're well catered. And again, the last one, and this one is very important, we will destroy NYDA. And from the ashes of NYDA, we'll build Department of Young People. Because of, we are having 8 or 11 departments in the Northwest, but we don't have a Department of Youth. We'll make sure that we combine one department and have a Department of Youth, whereby where they have got problems, they know where to go. Thank you.
Just before I carry on, what's wrong with the NYDA?
NYDA, we don't know what is NYDA at the current moment. Okay, because of we need a fully fledged Ministry of Youth, not something partisan that belongs to ANC. We need a fully fledged ministry where they won't look at the color of your T-shirts or your membership, but they will look at you. They will see you as a young person who want to progress in the country.
Okay,
Thank you.
Let's take another question. Please continue.
No, thank you very much. My name is Kumalo Molefe. Let me not ask a question to those who are dreaming to be in government, but rather ask a question to those who are running government. My question really is to you, Comrade Mutale Pule, to say 13 months ago, our people embarked on an unprecedented protest post-1994, complaining that government is being personalized, lucrative tenders that they used to benefit on are being centralized. They were led by businessmen and women. Government, through the leadership of Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, intervened immediately and appointed a Professor Mokgoro, and I'm glad you are part of that team. What has the team of Professor Mokgoro, which you are part of, done in order to change the economic situation to benefit the local men and women?
ANC?
Thank you very much for the question, Comrade Khumalo from the ANC. Since Comrade Job Mokgoro took over as the Premier, yes, there has been challenges of business opportunities, but we are from an investor conference this year. An investor conference whereby the intention was to make sure that we invite all business people to come and engage, also to strategize on how to start to attract investment. And as government is to lay that foundation to make sure that we invest on infrastructure in creating job opportunities. I must indicate to you, in terms of that, the special economic zone in your Bujana district, looking into your competitive advantages in terms of the province, in terms of growth and development. Hence, we are saying that let's work together and grow the economy together. You have in your Bujana district your special economic zone, which has been reignited. DTI will be providing a license in terms of that. And in terms of the targets, the platinum beneficiation in terms of your industrialization strategy, it will create 7,000 jobs around the Northwest. It will be linked to your Rustenburg. It will be linked to your Madibeng. In terms of your province, remember that we have a competitive advantage. You have your mining as one of the activities that can create job opportunities, agriculture and tourism. Tourism has done well so far. Despite the challenges that we have in the province, we have registered tourism visitor targets as this province. And you can go in the website of the Department of Tourism that actually the Northwest is part of the provinces that has registered progress. In terms of your agriculture, Northwest actually is a rural province. It is agricultural rich province. In terms of agricultural activities, your agro-processing program, your beef beneficiation project that will be ignited in your Dr. Rutsi Khumuti Mumpati, your beef processing plant in your Dr. KK. So your agricultural strategy seeks to respond to job opportunities, seeks to make sure that as young people should be able to start to explore and tap into the opportunities that are coming. With your special economic zone, your platinum beneficiation will also actually build capacity. There will be opportunities where there will be training of young people. Women will also leverage on that in terms of job opportunities. So I think that under the leadership of Professor Mokgoro, the investor conference has responded even to the stimulus package as outlined by the president.
So how are you going to do things differently in order to ensure that the beneficiation actually takes place to the benefit of the broader community in the Northwest Province and not just to the political elite and those who are attached to them?
I don't think it's for the political elite, Sakina, I must say.
I think if you ask the people of the Northwest Province, they will tell you that in the main, it is the politically connected and the political elite that have benefited from beneficiation.
The question that has been asked has been that the economic trajectory going forward, what is happening in the last 13 months. That's why I'm saying that there has been an investor conference.
What has happened in the last 13 months? Let me ask you, how many prospecting licenses have been issued here in the Northwest Provinces in the last 13 months for mining?
13 months. There's not been prospecting licenses, but I can tell you that there's been platforms of engagements within the mining sector. There has been a participation in terms of your traditional authorities in engaging with government in terms of getting those licenses. So we should acknowledge that progress, that unlocking of that engagement that has been done.
So it sounds like more of the same, which is my point. I'm asking you, how are you going to do things differently going forward?
Things will be done differently.
But how?
Things will be done differently. The House of Traditional Authorities are being engaged. Professor Mukhoro has been having one-on-one with all the traditional leaders within our province. I mean, they've met in Dr. Rutsuku Muntu has already met Khosi, the chiefs there to engage on issues of minerals, of natural resources. I must share with you, Sakina, that we have registered progress. For the mere fact that business has come on board, they have bought into the initiative of the investor conference, and they've shown interest in terms of bringing investment and attracting investment with the province. I think it's a sign to the right direction. Your special economic zone, I must say that the DTI, they have the license already. There's work that has been done, which has been work in progress, and that has been unlocked because we are waiting for the license, which will create 7,000 job opportunities, which will also bring opportunities for skills development, opportunities of building capacity in terms of industrialization. And that is linked to the stimulus package that the President has outlined in terms of infrastructure development, in infrastructure investment in the country.
Okay. And that is highlighted in your manifesto, the ANC's manifesto.
Yes.
But I can tell you what you've been talking about in terms of infrastructure development and what has been spent on infrastructure development into trillions of rands already going into the last 10 years. It actually hasn't delivered the jobs. It hasn't delivered the economic stimulus that you are talking about. So the question remains exactly what will change. But let's move on. Let's take a few more questions.
I'm from the UCDP. My name is Pule Serapelo. My question is to the president of the only party that knows how to deliver. They did it before ANC came to power to come and give us misery. Ntatesi Hume, how come I don't see your posters all over this place? Are you trying not to sell yourself? Are you trying not to work for us as much as others are promising? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. Look, I think you must understand what we are doing. We are not imitating a failed system. Even if we had the 100 million or so that cost the ANC and the EF together to put on posters, we wouldn't spend that money on that. There is a systemic way of how people can communicate because it talks to how you prioritize. How do you go to a society and say to them, how do you go to a people and say to them, give us your billions? I suspect the upcoming financial year, National Treasury is going to give Northwest almost 47 billion. How do you go to a people and say, entrust us with 47 billion, and at the same time spend so much money on placards that you are going to use only for less than 3 months? It talks to who you are, and basically that's what we are saying. We are communicating with our people, we are going to communities, people are hearing us, and it has cost us, you will be surprised if I can tell you the figures, but it goes to the essence of a new era of leadership, a new mindset to how you manage people's resources. And you must lead by example. You can't come, you'll never see me in a Ferrari. Because if I want a Ferrari, I'll go into business. If I am in politics, I am there to serve.
Okay.
And that is the essence. And the
So how effective has that strategy proven to be to date?
Thank you. It has been very effective because remember we had systems in place. We have structures in place. We are established in 1973. What happened is that only in 1994, the elites came and created a mindset on the youth and to say to them, if you continue following, if you continue to apply your mind and interrogate other policies, you are anti-revolutionary, you are anti-what. But the systems are in place. So we are successful. We are talking to our people. In fact, I've just received an SMS right now from Morocco and people are saying, why didn't I invite them? So yes, it is very effective, but it's very cheap.
All right, and thank you so much. ANC, please try not to agitate the BLF. They don't want your T-shirt. He's saying he doesn't want the T-shirt. So we are not trying to start a fight here. So if you want to hand him the T-shirt, please do so afterwards because he's refusing it now. He's refusing it right now. Okay, question. BLF? This is your opportunity to ask a question. You can give him the T-shirt outside when you go out. For now, he's wearing that black one.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't need that T-shirt. I don't need that T-shirt. These people have a noise, and we are trying to stop these people with noise because we are making noise. I want to understand what the people say. The people will make a noise. So I try to stop these people must not make a noise. We are talking. So I'm asking the people who are talking. Sorry, it's not what I come to say here. I have a question. My question is going right to EFF first. My question is going to right to EFF. Mm-hmm. Who I'm supposed. Good. Your apology is accepted. My question is going through to the EFF. I hear that EFF, he asked the people they must vote for him. So I accept that. But my question is this. I want to know that EFF.
Yes, your question, carry on.
EFF, you want to again solve the vote of the people because he did in Pretoria, he did in Mandela Pretoria. He sold the vote for the people. So I want to know that there's people who want the people must vote for him. He's going to sell the vote again.
Okay.
He's going to destroy the poor people who are voting for the organization to the organization assess them. And then the organization will sell this. I want to know that you want to sell the vote again.
All right, EFF.
Okay.
Thanks, Sakina. The EFF is an anti-capitalist organization. It's a pro-socialist organization. We compete and contest elections. That's what we did in Johannesburg. That's what we did in Tshwane. And the people of Tshwane believed in us. They gave us their votes. And anywhere in the world, if there is no outright winner, you engage as politicians. And we entered into a coalition, not necessarily a coalition government, but we agreed to give our numerical power in those councils to the DA. We are not in coalition with them. We agreed to work with them in those coalitions. So we did not sell any votes to anybody. In actual fact, if our people, immediately after they voted for us on the 8th of May, this is what is going to happen. The first thing that we'll do, our first order when we get into office, we'll make sure that we put systems in place for the expropriation of land without compensation to take place for equal redistribution. We will ensure that mines and other strategic sectors of the economy are nationalized so that everybody can benefit. We will make sure that education is free in the free sense of the word. We will make sure that corruption is wiped out. We will make sure that we build state capacity for us to be able to ensure that we no longer have incidences of corruptions like Meteosa, Nepo Data Dynamics, and Yamaha Engineering Consulting, which have happened here in the province.
Okay.
We will.
I think you have responded to the question, but and this is a question that I wanted to ask of all the parties, but the question has been directed at you as the EFF. When it comes to these sort of arrangements, where you then decide to get into partnership or coalition or whatever else you want to call those sort of arrangements, do you actually go back to consult with either the structures of your organization or find some way of polling the electorate once again for a mandate as to who you ought to go into those partnerships or coalitions with? Do you actually do something like that?
Yes, Sakina. The EFF, one of the principles that guides the EFF is internal democracy. Which simply means that there is no any issue that it gets processed without necessarily bringing all constitutional structures of the EFF on board. So what normally happens is we will engage and exhaust the matter. And if there is, if for an example, there is no any an outright win in terms of arguments, we will then subject that matter to voting. That's exactly what we did with the question of Tshwane and Johannesburg, where you have the central command team of the EFF using the ballot to vote on certain issues, which could not find expression through debates and engagement.
Okay. All right, let's take more questions.
Thank you, Honorable Leader. My question based to the ANCs. Why are you keeping on giving an empty promise to the people, whereas you know that those promises are a lie? Why are you lying to the people? Every time when you say everything when you take out of your mouth, it's a lie. You keep on promising empty. You're giving on every day. Empty promise, empty promise. What is that? What is that? You are capitalist. Don't capitalize people. Please,
Okay.
capitalism is not a...
Let me try and direct your question. So give us an example of an empty promise that they have made that the speaker can
They promise
respond to.
people employment, whereas they don't deliver. They
Okay.
promise people and their houses, whereas they give people those houses. When you go into the RDP houses, those houses are cracks and they are built with a cheap materials. What are you taking us for?
Okay. ANC?
You are greedy. Please change. Please change this. South
Okay,
Africa,
Ms. Khosho?
please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sakina. Sakina, I must share with you that in the last 25 years, the ANC has not made any promises, empty promises. It has delivered services to the people, and the African National Congress, we acknowledge that, of course, in delivering service to the people, in changing lives of the people for a better life for all, there has been shortcomings, there has been challenges. Yes, in terms of job opportunities, if you look into the economic challenges, there has been challenge, but the president has even outlined. That's why there's been the review in terms of how can we create job opportunities. In terms of your stimulus packages, the investment in infrastructure is part of the strategies that will make an enabling environment to make sure that the investors are able to invest in our country. There are job opportunities that are created. I want to get to the issues of housing. There is no party that has come with a manifesto or with a mandate of providing houses for free for the people. The African National Congress is the only party. The African National Congress has provided services to the people. There are basic services that have been provided to the people. The African National Congress, in terms of provision of houses, I can hear that Mr. Medlua from the DA is claiming that victory of the African National Congress. The very same manifesto of the opposition parties is informed, but what the African National Congress has actually advanced in providing decent houses for our people, in changing lives of the people. Health services, access to health services, they were not there before. But in terms of clinics, providing primary health care to the communities, there is provision of services in that. On human settlement as well, issues of giving water, access to water to our people in rural areas, there is that progress. Yes, we admit there has been challenges, but we have registered progress in terms of providing decent houses, in terms of providing primary health care, in terms of providing free education, in terms of creating ECD, early childhood development.
All right.
There is progress that has been done in that respect.
All right.
So as the African National Congress, in the last 25 years, we have registered that progress. We have changed lives of the
Okay.
people.
All
For
right.
the people to come today here, to come and debate and oppose the agenda of advancing a better life for all. It's as a result of the ANC, because we are a democratic, we are leading a democratic society.
Okay.
We are
All
a leader of society.
All right, so that's the answer. The ANC is saying it's not true. They are delivering. But to be fair to all the other parties, they have the housing issue in their manifestos. It is there. So let's go on. Let's take some more questions. Where are we going next? Next question.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
My name is Joe Mutau. My question is directed to DA. I know the DA is the only party that can solve this question. There's water and sanitation in the Northwest. It's a problem. I want to ask the DA, how are they going to fix this problem? Because it's a problem, real problem in the Northwest. Thank you very much.
Okay. DA?
Yeah, thank you. What I think we have to do, water is a problem. We also are very thankful for the rain that we have received. We will actually, install a comprehensive maintenance plan. We will also work with national government. We will work with provincial government. Myself, during my oversight and visit and my campaigns, there is also a sabotage when it comes to water. There are MECs and MPLs of the ANC who owns trucks, Jojo trucks. And then their comrades go and sabotage the water, and then their Jojo trucks are being deployed into the communities so that they can get money. We will stop that. We will stop that, and we say, the cattle in our province are drinking sewage water. Our children not only play, but drinking sewage water. We will also, some years ago, when I was a member of parliament, the previous president of this country had a project called Water Leaks. Dololo. It doesn't happen. There was a war on water leaks. If you go wherever, we will address that and we will make sure, have a survey and repair those water leaks in the province.
Okay, and I know you spoke about the criminal justice system not being as effective as it perhaps should be in the province, but when you make these allegations of sabotage of the water system, that's practically treasonous. So where is it happening? Because if you can't take it up, maybe we can take it up and take it further. Where is it happening? Will you provide that information?
You go to Tswahing, you'll find it happen. You go to Tahungs, you'll find it happen. You go to Naledi, you'll find it is happen. It is a problem. And someone was talking about the protests in the province. And part of it, most of it, is because of water. My colleague here, she was part of a meeting. They've been chased out of the community for water in Bloemhof. There's a problem, and we have to address it, not a political party, but as a collective when we are in government.
Okay, so I'll speak to you so maybe we can get more information, because you can't speak of sabotage and not provide the evidence to back that up. Let's take another question. Forum for Service Delivery.
My name is Monaghan Rabotapi. Na putswa ka itla ku President of Forum for Service Delivery. President of Forum for Service Delivery. Mo Northwest, mo Mafikeng re na le mathata. You look at Bophelong Hospital, you go to the clinics tsa rona mo Mafikeng, you can see gore they are paralyzed. Paralyzed because of bogodu. Rutswa ka bodipa. Now re ke re check le Forum for Service Delivery gore ga etsa push over ba ile go dirang ka dilo tsa go tshwana le tseo tsa go senyetsa setšhaba sa rona.
Forum for Service Delivery.
Thank you. We as Forum for Service Delivery will make sure that the MEC or the leader of health, it's a medical person. We will never deploy somebody for the sake because of he's in a certain faction or whatever. So we'll make sure that we got right skills, and we'll also upgrade the infrastructure. We'll benchmark with other countries and check the best infrastructure that we can put in place. And we'll also ensure that those who are they've got serious diseases, they are day-to-day visits to their houses. We need to have people who are visited so that they can be assisted. And also as Forum for Service Delivery, we'll make sure that young people are in charge. We need to have young doctors, we need to have young managers. Like currently now, this province is led by a pensioner who sleeps during the meetings. It's a problem for us. We need somebody energetic, somebody who will run in terms of service delivery. Thank you.
Let's take another question. Okay, ANC.
Karabo.
Yes, Karabo, we are listening.
Okay. we know the plans by the ANC in terms of higher education and what has been implemented since last year to ensure that kids in the missing gap are actually getting funded for higher education, and the call that SASCO has recently made for Bojanala, that we must have a technical university. And they've actually started the process for government to actually start looking into this and making sure that there is a technical university in Bojanala. Now, I want to ask other parties exactly where and how they're going to fund education.
Directed at someone, please.
Okay. Let's say, let's start with EFF.
Okay.
How exactly they're going to fund. So where exactly are they going to get this budget? How they're going to redirect government budget to ensure that it is funded this way, and it's better than what they say they can fund it better than the ANC.
Okay, thank you, Karabo. I'm just not sure about the funding of free education for the missing middle, because education is free for the poor, not for the missing middle. The missing middle remains a problem because they seem to fall through the cracks in every possible way. But EFF, the question about how and which funds are you going to redirect in order to make sure that you fund education?
No, thank you very much, Sakina, and thanks for the question as well. If you read our 7 cardinal pillars, you realize that education is, I think, is cardinal pillar number 6. Which says that education must be free in South Africa for all. Everybody must be able to access education. And responding to the question as to how are we going to ensure that we redirect the funds? I mean, presently as we speak, we have heard how different political parties have been talking about massive corruption that is happening not only in the province but throughout the country. Now, as the EFF, the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to cut on some of the expenditures which are not necessary, and which are not taking the country anywhere.
Such as?
The first thing that we will do will abolish and cancel and remove completely the positions of deputy ministers. Because in our view, those positions are not adding any value when it comes to the question of governance. Deputy ministers rely on ministers for them to be given work to do. So it means that those positions, they are not supposed to be there. Secondly, why must you have the seat of parliament or the legislature in Cape Town and have the administrative arm of government in Pretoria? And every time when members travel or shuttle in between those two areas, it's money, taxpayers' money that is being used. So we must make sure that both the legislative arm and the executive arm are in one area so as to avoid a situation whereby money is being spent unnecessarily. We will ensure that one of the things that will ensure that we change the structure of the economy in South Africa so that we generate more income. For an example, we'll ensure that all the minerals and petroleums that are being produced in the country, we beneficiate them and we ensure that we establish what is called the Sovereign Wealth Fund, so that more and more money, as profits are generated out of these activities, that money is directed to the Sovereign Wealth Fund, and that money out of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, it can then be used towards funding not only education,
who's going to administer that fund?
But other social needs like your health, your education, your social development, and so on.
Who's going to administer that sovereign wealth fund?
We will put mechanisms in place. We will pass a bill in Parliament that will give us exactly the accountability and management structures of that sovereign wealth fund.
Because I shudder to think if you put the wrong people in charge of that, there goes the country. But let's get some more questions. BLF.
Yes, I have a question for BLF. What are their plans? What are their plans when they get to Parliament? Because like we've been promising people that they will get free education, free housing, free health care, and so forth. So I want the leader there to elaborate much more further about all the details that the people will get on the ground. Thanks.
BLF?
BLF have real solution to the problems. And let me just, before I can get it to it, Mhlekazi ngive ukhuluma about ibedlock yamanje sithi sinikeze umhlaba zokhona ukwakha izindlu. So yeah, in the issue of we must never ever in any circumstances finding ourselves collusion or voting with the enemy, because they are the land thieves, they are against the expropriation of land. How can you give someone who opposed the land issue and then you turn around, you are saying you want land expropriation without compensation? Not any circumstances we must find ourselves donating black votes to the enemy. Like if I vote...
Who's the enemy?
The enemy is white people, we are clear. So, because they stole our land. And another thing, now we're saying ANC people, we no longer want to collapsing RDPs. We want an exclusive economy, expropriate the economy, distribute the wealth amongst our people. We want everyone to be in the economy, so we participate. So this thing to say...
let me ask you about this thing of the enemy and white people. And we were supposed to have the Freedom Front Plus here as well, but they unfortunately pulled out.
They chicken out.
Well, they decided not to participate in the debate. But the Freedom Front Plus essentially have taken issue. They have tried to get you disbarred from these elections because they feel that your stance as the BLF is actually racially motivated and unacceptable. So, and when you call white people the enemy, you know, what is we supposed to do with that as a country that is trying to forge ahead from a racially divisive past?
Firstly, we are guided by the definition of Steve Biko. A black man can't be racist, firstly. And again, we're trying to end racism ourselves. Because even if you can look at the economy itself, it's white dominated. That's in its own, it's white supremacy, it's anti-black. So we are trying to end racism. The reason why the Freedom Fund Plus, it's shaking, because they know we're not going to parliament to sleep. We're going to want the land. They know that BLF won't sell out. We're going there, we're going after white power, we want back the land, we want the land to be expropriated. So they know, that's why now they want us to register from not to be there in the ballot. And about this issue, we are saying we want real free education for all, because now I got friends. They have been stopped from graduating because NSFAS didn't finish the outbalancing statement. So we want real free education. We want loan free. NSFAS must not be repaid back. We want it to be free, and then jobs.
And I hear you want all of these things, but how is the economy going to generate money for the fiscus so that you can have all those free things that you are talking about? Where's the money going to come from?
It's easy. It's like, where does the money for corruption comes from? Because 100 billion of money is being wasted to corruption. So they say when they have to fund public, they saying there is no money. But the money for corruption is always there, right? We say get back the land. The people must own the land and then nationalize the banks.
Okay.
Even the banks must belong to the government.
Okay.
Now, there is recent scandal about FNB charging up to 40% to. So that's why they don't want to own anything. We're going to pay.
All right. We are running out of time. Let's take a few quick ones to end it off. Sir?
Yo bua ke Justice Kimelole me ke rata go botsa Jerry Matebesi potso e one. Re Jerry Matebesi ka gore no yana ra bona gore gona le di contract tse dintsi. So ha o tsa puso lo wa EFF o tlo bereka ka di contract tseo. A go tlera kada ke ra di tendera a ke di contract e nngwe gape e latelang ha o tsa puso ke batla gore o re itsisitse gore setšhaba se se kana se o tlo go se fepa yang. Thank you.
A response, please, Mr. EFF.
Well, quickly, the question of tenders is neither here nor there. We are clear as the EFF in terms of our manifesto that we want to scrap tenders because tenders are a source of corruption in the country. Two, we want to ensure that we build state capacity to be able to render services that are currently being rendered by private consultants. For an example, we want to build a state company that will be responsible for housing. We want to establish a state company that will be responsible for road infrastructure in the country. We want to establish a company that will be responsible for ensuring that sanitation is being taken to our people, and so on and so forth. So we want tenders to be removed, and we want state capacity to be built so that the state is able to render services on its own without necessarily contracting out that function to private consultants and private companies, because that in itself leads toward corruption.
Final question.
The second question that was asked.
I'm going to cut you because we're running out of time. Remember, we are recording this, so I just want to take, so as to make sure it's fair that everyone got 2 questions. Let me take a final question here.
A quick question from UCDP. Mr. President, Mudiri Zuhume, how will you bring back the morality that unfortunately is not here, starting from the school level? But that is why like this. Jobs are not there. How do you resuscitate Babelegi? Tourism is not there. How do you resuscitate Sun City and Lost City? Because that's exactly what will make life worth living and make South Africa habitable.
All right. Okay. Quick response there for us, please.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
And factor in your closing remarks for 15 seconds as well, please.
All right. Basically, you are right. The problem in our country is that we want to rule at all costs, and sometimes at the expense of principles. That's the first problem. The second thing is that somehow we have decided as black people in this country to conflate discipline with oppression. They are 2 separate things. To seek a society to be more disciplined, it's not to oppress them. It is actually the opposite, to empower them. Without discipline, there is no prospect of a better society for all of us. That is why we led, and that is why we were at the forefront of everything. Thank you.
Forum for Service Delivery.
Thank you.
15 seconds.
Okay. We as Forum for Service Delivery were asking for the citizens at home to vote for Forum for Service Delivery so that we take over this province and restore quality to the people. We want to bring services because people are tired of politics. It has been 25 years of politics, but there's no one talks about service delivery.
Okay.
So we want to bring life to the people. And
Thank you.
Okay,
15 seconds, EFF.
Well, as the EFF, we are saying that the EFF is the only last hope for the people of South Africa. We are also saying that the land and jobs must be given to our people now. We are also saying that there is no way in which we can deal with the question of inequality, poverty, and all the social ills without ensuring that we expropriate land and we nationalize the commanding heights of the economy in the country.
Thank you, Sakina. I'm here. I'm having a letter from the Mbete, the Speaker of Parliament, who agreed in a motion that 100,000 households has been given title deeds, also agreed on the 91% growth of the party. It can happen in the Northwest. It can happen here if you vote for us. We will create an environment to create jobs, save rural units, and also we will definitely have all the forensic audits.
Thank you, DA. BLF.
BLF is the real genuine last hope. We're saying give back the land, nationalize the banks, employ graduates. If you can't subsidize them, if you can't employ them, you must pay them.
Okay.
So nationalize the banks, the mines, free electricity, free water, free housing, all, and then expropriate, make an economy exclusion or a new plan for the economy.
Thank you, BLF.
Land or debt, take BLF to Parliament.
Thank you. ANC remains a mass-based organization. It's a leader of society. Therefore, ANC will work together, will make sure that we grow the economy together. As African National Congress will continue to advance effective health services, education that is more efficient, will create an healthy environment for economic growth and economic development.
Well, thank you so much to everybody who participated this afternoon. UCDP, Forum for Service Delivery, EFF, the DA, BLF, and the ANC, and to everybody who came out as well. Thank you, appreciate it. And this concludes our pre-election debates here on SAFM. And the next time we get to this, it will be at the elections. Thank you.